Imagine a cold, so absolute, it burns your skin the second you step outside. Welcome to the deep Taiga of Yakutia. Winter temperatures here regularly plummet to -71 degrees Fahrenheit. Out here, spit freezes before it hits the ground. Engines shatter like glass. And if you get lost in the woods, you don't come back. This is no place for the weak. Yet, miles away from the nearest human settlement, in a crumbling wooden cabin surrounded by endless white, lives Elara. She is 82 years old. Her husband passed away decades ago, and she has survived in this frozen isolation, relying on nothing but an old wood stove and her sheer, unbreakable will. The locals in the distant village think she's crazy. They call her a ghost, but Elara isn't a ghost. She is a survivor. The winter of 2018 brought a blizzard unlike any other. The snow was falling so thick, it created a blinding whiteout. Elara was outside, her frail, trembling hands gathering the last of her chopped firewood. If her stove went out, she would freeze to death in her sleep. As she turned back toward her cabin, the wind howled. But beneath the roar of the gale, there was something else. A sound, high-pitched, weak, desperate. It wasn't the wind. Elara dropped her firewood. Against all survival instincts, the 82-year-old woman waded out into the waist-deep drifts, following the sound. She dug through a massive snowbank with her bare, frostbitten hands, and there, buried beneath a foot of ice, was a tiny, shivering lump of orange and black fur. It was a Siberian tiger cub. Its mother was gone, likely killed by poachers or the storm. The cub's eyes were crusted shut with ice. Its breathing was shallow. It was minutes away from death. Any sane person in the taiga would have left it there. A Siberian tiger is an apex predator, a killing machine. Even a cub represents a massive danger. But Elara didn't see a monster. She looked down at this freezing baby and saw a reflection of her own intense loneliness. She unbuttoned her heavy wool coat, scooped the freezing animal into her arms, and pressed him directly against her own skin to share her body heat. She carried him inside. For the next 3 weeks, Elara didn't sleep. The cub, whom she named Kaya, was too weak to eat. Elara took her own meager winter rations, dried reindeer meat and fat, and boiled it down into a warm broth. She fed Kaya drop by drop from a wooden spoon. She wrapped him in her only thermal blanket and let him sleep on her chest so he could feel her heartbeat. The frail old widow sacrificed her own warmth, her own food, and her own safety to pull the apex predator back from the brink of death. Fast forward 4 years, the tiny helpless ball of fur was gone. In its place stood a fully grown, majestic Siberian tiger. 500 pounds of pure muscle, claws, and teeth. Kaya was the size of a small car, capable of snapping a man's spine with a single swipe. But to Kaya, the frail, hunched-over old woman was not prey. She was his mother. The dynamic between them was something out of a myth. When Elara went to the frozen river to chip away ice for water, the massive beast walked right beside her, his giant paws leaving craters in the snow. He was her shadow, her protector. When the nights dropped to -70, Kaya wouldn't sleep on the floor. He would climb onto Elara's small bed, curling his massive, furnace-like body around her frail frame, effectively becoming a living, breathing heater. They kept each other alive. But nature is merciless, and the taiga was about to test their bond. The winter of 2022 was dubbed the winter of starvation. The prey animals in the forest died off from the extreme cold. Hunger makes wild animals desperate. It makes them bold. Kaya had left the cabin early in the morning to hunt, ranging miles away to find food. Elara was alone inside as the sun began to set, casting long dark shadows across the snow. Elara heard a sound that chills the blood of every Russian woodsman, the low guttural growling of timber wolves. But this wasn't just a pair. Elara looked out her frosted window. 12 massive, starving, rabid wolves had surrounded her cabin. They could smell her inside. They knew she was alone. And they knew she was weak. Urgently, the wolves didn't wait. They began hurling their bodies against the heavy wooden door. Bang, bang. The old hinges groaned. The wood began to splinter. Elara backed into the corner of her cabin, clutching a rusty iron fire poker. Her heart pounded in her chest. She was 86 years old. She had no chance. One massive black wolf smashed its head through the glass window, its jaws snapping wildly at the air just feet from Elara's face. The door hinges snapped. The door flew open. The freezing -70 wind rushed into the room, followed by the glowing yellow eyes of the pack. Elara closed her eyes. She accepted her fate. But then the ground shook. A roar echoed through the forest, so loud, so terrifying, that it rattled the plates in the cabin cupboards. It was a sound of absolute primal fury. Out of the blinding white snowstorm burst Kaya, the 500-pound tiger, launched himself like a missile, directly into the wolf pack. He didn't just fight them, he eradicated them. He caught the massive black wolf mid-air, crushing its skull in his jaws. He swatted another across the clearing, breaking its ribs instantly. The tiger became a blur of orange and blood, fighting with a ferocity born not just of survival, but of protection. Within 60 seconds, 3 wolves lay dead. The rest of the pack, terrified by the sheer power of the enraged tiger, scattered into the frozen woods, whimpering into the dark. Taken by the silence, returned to the tiger. Kaya stood in the doorway, his chest heaving, his fur stained. He looked at Elara, trembling in the corner. The giant beast's demeanor instantly shifted. The ruthless killer vanished. He walked over to the frail old woman, lowered his massive, blood-stained head, and gently nudged her hand, letting out a soft, deep purr that vibrated through the floorboards. But he knew the danger wasn't over. The door was broken. The fire was dying. Elara was freezing. Kaya turned and sprinted back out into the storm. 2 hours later, he returned. He dragged a freshly killed wild boar across the snow, dropping it right at Elara's feet, inside the ruined cabin. He had secured her food. Then, Kaya lay down, using his massive body to block the broken doorway from the howling wind, sheltering his mother from the deadly frost. Years ago, a frail old woman defied the laws of nature to save a dying predator from the cold. On that terrifying night, the king of the taiga repaid the debt. It proves that even in the most brutal, freezing, unforgiving environments on the planet, love, loyalty, and gratitude exist across species lines. Elara saved Kaya's life, and Kaya ensured Elara would never face the dark alone. If this incredible true story of survival gave you chills, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments, what would you do if you found a wild tiger in the snow? Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.